So normally, I would try to be a bit more formal about this kind of video, but I'll be honest, it took me like, I recorded all my footage and I was looking at it. I didn't really like any of it. I wasn't really adding anything to the conversation, so I've decided, you know what, for this video about the Arcsys news, I'm just going to go back to my roots. I'm going to be a bit more chill. I'm just going to sit here and talk about what I'm excited about, because that's basically what this whole series is for. It's just for me to talk about fighting games and things I like. So I'm going back to that, really, and I'm just going to talk about what happened and how much I'm excited for it, because I'm super excited for it. I'm actually really looking forward to the future of Arcsys published games, right? Both Strive and DNF look like they're going to be really sick in the next coming months. So let's get right into it, yeah? They revealed Bedman, right? And Bedman looks, I'm way more into Bedman than I thought I would be. Right, I did not like Bedman at all aesthetically in Exit. They're a very cool character, don't get me wrong, but they're definitely not my kind of character at all, right? They're very strange, sort of a weird like hybrid zoner, like an 8-way dash and shit. They're a weird character. By far the coolest thing about them was the deja vu mechanic, right? One of the coolest mechanics I've ever seen a character have in a fighting game, being able to like replay a special move, it's such a sick idea, flat out. But I never played them myself, so I was never that into them, and I never liked how Bedman themselves looked like, not the bed, but the character. I forget exactly what his name is, but I always thought he looked really dorky, and while his personality was amazing, this like hyper intelligent like teenager who is so intelligent that he has to sleep else he'll implode from how smart he is like, that's such a funny Guilty Gear character to make, right? And I think they really nailed Bedman in that aspect. But the redesign for Strive is, one, I love the gameplay redesign, but two, like canonically, it's adorable, right? The dead, it's adorable and really like mean and depressing, which is like very Strive of their design, right? It's you know, you got the dead spirit of the brother living within the super bed, right, protecting his little sister, who he has now been enabled to be awake and not implode themselves via sacrificing himself in Exude, right? You know, funny lore details, you know, the lot of it, right? But it's such a cool design, right? I could see so many people being into it once you tell them what the bed actually is, which is the brother, right? And I love how like vicious and broken the bed looks in Strive. Like the new facial design as well, the redesign of the crown and the head. You know, it looks so mean, you know, it looks really feral, and you really get the idea of that it's this brotherly love just going berserk and trying its hardest to protect the one he cares about, right? I think it's such a cool idea. Gameplay wise, it looks really unique too. They've shown off a bunch of new normals and attacks it has. It clearly no longer has the deja vu mechanic. It looks oddly Bruiser-esque. We'll have to wait and see, but it doesn't look like his owner anymore. We saw no showcase of like his old 1, 2, 3 H or anything like that. It all looks very new aside from certain normals. I think there was a new close slash as well. They also likely are going to keep their ultra fast walk speed. Bedman and Exit had the fastest walk speed of the series. Due to some footage in the trailer, it seems like they've kept that, but there's no deja vu mechanic. There's no like sheep super or anything, the funny gimmick super. They look a lot more strike based now. They have kept the 8-way dash, which is nice, and they got a bunch of animation reworks, but they look pretty 50-50 based, right? And I think they're going to be high damage. I'm just assuming, but they look very high damage. But they look cool. I'm actually quite interested. The thing I've noticed about Strive is that I'm interested in every DLC character. I've given every DLC character a shot at least once. I think the only one I did not care about was I didn't really play Happy Chaos. I tried him a lot at launch, but I didn't really play him. And I didn't play a lot of Bridget. Bridget was definitely not my kind, right? I like high damage and she does nothing, so right. But otherwise, dude, I'm really into Bed. I'm definitely gonna try them out. I'm actually mainly excited for Bed because Wombo might finally play a character that isn't fucking Faust. He might finally pick up a character, actually pick up a different character and stick with them this time, because they do look like a Wombo character, but Wombo's terrible at picking up new mains, even though he always like complains about his mains. So I hope he actually does it this time, but I will not be surprised if he doesn't, right? I hope we get a proper Bedman main in OCE, right? There's always at least one, right? And it'll be cool to see who takes an interest in Bed, right? Because Bed does look very cool. But other than that, if you ask me, Well, there was some extra Strive news actually. They said they were going to make season 3, which basically everyone knew they were going to do that. This game is too successful to not get a 3rd season. And they also showed a little clip of Asuka holding a book saying final season 2 character coming in May. A lot of people are seeing this as a low-key reveal that it is in fact Asuka. If it is, I'm not surprised. I hope it is, because I've wanted that man in the franchise since I learned about him, right? And it looks like we're finally going to get them, which is really cool. I think they're probably going to be some weird mage type. That's what everyone I think is expecting. Some sort of like, I think they're going to be like this weird hybrid mage. They're going to have a bit of rush down, a bit of zoning, right? Just a real mix of playstyles, which I hope is the case, right? Probably mid damage, mid range sort of thing, right? We'll just have to wait and see in that regard. I'm very curious how they conceptualize that man for the modern Guilty Gear era, right? But that was a small reveal that was shown off. Also, I find it interesting that Asuka is the last character of season 2. I think that's what indicates to me is that they weren't sure if they were going to get a season 3, so they figured they'd cap it off with probably he's the Jubei of the franchise, right? How BlazBlue wanted like Jubei for forever, and we got him as literally the last DLC character in the series. For them, that might have been something similar to that regard, right? Since this is the end of the current Guilty Gear story in Strive. But ignoring that, DNF also got a bunch of announcements, as we all know. DNF, so they showed off a bit of Spectre. The trailer is like 20 seconds worth of gameplay, so we can't really make any conclusions outside of that she has an 8-way dash, and she looks very strike-based, right? Which I think everyone expected, right? She looks very cool, very, it's hot lady with katana, right? Very typical anime archetype. But she doesn't look, she doesn't seem to be like complex and rigid like Yuzuriha, or sort of like basic like Normaya. She looks very aggressive. I compare her a lot to Berserker in my mind. She looks like that sort of aggressive, high strike based like mix up archetype, right? But she looks cool, right? And she's very sexy, so I'm definitely gonna give her a shot, right? The more exciting announcements, though, they announced a bunch of mechanic reworks. Everyone's like, DNF is on a weird hate train right now, right? Even before the announcement, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, DNF sucks, shit game, bad game, no wonder it's dead." Blah, 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 blah. I don't know why suddenly everyone's turned against it. It's not like the most incredible fighting game of all time, but I remember the public cannot decide what their opinion on DNF is. They can't decide if they love it, if they hate it, or if they don't think anything about it. All right. Personally, I really like the game. I had a really good time when I was playing it. I still play it occasionally. Right? I think it's a great fighting game. I think it's also partly because I didn't put too much stock into it. I didn't expect it to be the greatest fighting game of all time. I just wanted it to be a decent anime fighter, and that's what I got. So I think I was very pleased with what I got at the end of the day. But they're clearly investing a lot more in the game than perhaps they initially intended, because they've announced not 1 but 2 new mechanical system changes. Right? The first one, they're adding essentially a V-trigger type system to the game. You can now pick between so when you do a super, a little cube shows up behind your character. They're now tying this into the awakening system. So they've now introduced 2 awakening types. They've added a clear cube type, which will activate at 50% rather than 30%, but give you a less impact awakening effect, right? Like a lower power awakening effect. And they also introduced Gold Cube, which is essentially the old awakening effect. Activates at 30%, gives you a powerful awakening effect. I think there's multiple reasons, and just on the face of that, this system already sounds immensely interesting to me, because the game's current mechanical systems, while strong, they do suffer from a few more nuanced issues. For example, the mechanic conversion doesn't play with the awakening system very well, because only certain characters can consistently acquire conversion. This is a pretty hot topic if you're talking about the game mechanically. So characters like Troubleshooter and Berserker can access conversion whenever they want, which not only grants them cancels, but allows them to constantly decrease health. And you can only access supers when you're in Awakening, so they're able to essentially build combos around losing health with damage payoff, and then allowing themselves to enter Awakening and even just end in like TODs right there. Berserker basically became a top 5 character last patch because of the buffs he got, along with that already existing quality of the character, right? And Troubleshooter's always been very good, Right, so I think their new clear cube system with the 50% awakening activation is a bit of a response to that. They didn't want to take away those abilities from those characters, because that is a big reason why those characters are fun. I made Berserker partly because of that. But they wanted to even the playing field as far as the power of conversion overall. And I think this is a really good way to go about it, since it allows the cancel aspect of conversion to remain really relevant and strong, but the health decrease ability of conversion to be more dependent on how you want to play with your awakening state, right? And now you can activate it at half health and get access to super at half health, which is really good, right? I also think this is so they can move around what characters have what awakening effect and introduce new unique awakening effects for certain characters. Because characters like, especially like pre-patch before the recent grand balance patch, characters like Vanguard had just the fucking most dog shit awakening effects, dude. Like that, he had nothing, right? And then there's other characters like Crusader where their awakening effect is like more health, which is really strong in the context of Crusader, but it's like the most boring thing ever. It's like, oh, you just gave the tanky character more tankiness, you know? I think this is their way of trying to make the awakening system more unique while adding more options for players to pick. And overall, just from that description alone, I already like this system. The system already sounds like such a good change for the game. It allows people to play more how they want, right? Which I think is something the game really needs. As much as I love the game, characters are very figured out. This isn't there's no expression in DNF thing. I think there's plenty of expression, but the game is a very tightly designed game, right? The way you operate and play with characters and their strategies, it's hard to deviate to be effective with a lot of characters, right? Vanguard is always going to be like a weird armor zoner with crap frame data, and there isn't much you can do about that, and you can't really change how that works. I think the new awakening effect, while it won't like revolutionize character playstyles, it will at least add a good amount of variety and build different strategies around certain player wants, which I think is really important, right? And it's going to lead to a bunch of new, hopefully creative awakening effects as well. So I think that system is already really cool. We'll just have to wait and see what kind of effects they introduce and how it affects certain character metas, right? I can only imagine like a 50% awakening activating at 50% will be much more powerful for certain characters than others. Like, I can't imagine like clear cube effect for Berserker is gonna be his health steal. That's gotta be his gold cube effect. That effect is so strong, right? So it will be interesting when you get like, it's, you know, it's like the V trigger system, right? When you get those weirdo players that play with the weird V trigger that people don't use, right? And it's like, what's the strategy here? What's going on here? Is he going for gimmicks? Or does he have an actual idea of what's going on, right? And obviously that meta gets to develop over time, and it's part of the reason why modern Street Fighter V is so interesting to watch to this day. Right, it's because of that system, and I think DNF trying to capture that with a much crazier game, I think is a really good idea. So I'm really looking forward to that system. The other system, they've revealed nothing about. We just know, along with the Awakening system patch, there will be another system introduced. I have no idea what it would even be, because frankly, I think with that first system change they introduced, the system is already lining up to be much better than it was before. And I never really hated DNF systems anyway. I think it's actually quite a unique fighting game in how it handles its systems and like for the kind of pace the game is and what the mechanics incentivize. I think it actually stands out quite a lot. But I think for a lot of people, they don't like how it stands out. They find it a very frustrating fighting game because of that. So I imagine that system might target those people. I doubt it will be anything too insane. If I could make a jab at what it could be, I think it will probably be something defensive, right? Probably not something as crazy as a burst, though it could be like a combo burst like they have in Skullgirls and stuff, where if you get comboed for a certain amount of hits, you get access to a burst, right? I believe that's how it works in that game anyway. At the very least, like a scaling meter or something, but I do think it will be a form of defensive mechanic, because defensively, universally, you have block, roll, and guard cancel, which aren't particularly interesting, unique, and like two of them had to get like patched to become stronger because they were really weak initially, right? And there was a lot of discrepancy between the power of guard cancels, because like Ghostblade has a phenomenal guard cancel, and then like Grappler has a dog shit one, right? Like, you know, it's just how it is, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if it targets a defensive aspect of the game. But who knows? Aiding's they're a weirdo developer. They might just go, fuck it, we're gonna put fucking overdrive into the game or some bullshit like that, right? We'll just have to wait and see. But I'm super looking forward to DNF Duel and how it's going to improve over time. That first system already makes me want to play it more just to see what they do, right? So yeah, I'm down. I'm hyped, bro. I was never a DNF doomer, and I ain't dooming at all. You'll never find me dooming about that game. I think that game's really tight. So yeah, this is a lot to look forward to for Arcsys fighters in the near future. And I imagine it for the far future as well. Strive Season 3 is coming, and it will probably be the big system update, right? This is when they start fucking around with the systems, maybe even the UI. I did want to make a video about what I want to see in Season 3. Nothing too crazy, just some general stuff that I wish the game was a bit cleaner on, right? But overall, I think Strive as a fighter is in a great state right now. Arcsys, as we all know, Arc Revo, sorry, 2022 did just happen. Mochi won it. The best boy Mochi won it with the pro tag in the pro tag colors, right? Like what a storyline, right? But that whole tournament was phenomenal. The level of play the game has reached now is so amazing. It's so good now, right? I really like Strive. I think Strive is in such a good spot right now, and despite some little things, the balance is getting stronger, the mechanics are getting stronger, everything about it is improving. It's a much better game than it was when it came out, which I think we all expected, but I'm really happy we're here now, and hopefully it's only going to get better. I've really enjoyed the DLC picks so far, so and the next two are probably my favorites out of the 4. So I'm very happy with Strive's state, and I think if you're an Arcsys player, you're fucking eating right now, dude. Arcsys has never been doing better, right? So yeah, and hell, to continue with Arcsys, Dragon Ball is also getting its patch and its day and its rollback update as well. The fact that I didn't think they'd make another balance patch, that really surprised me when they said they were going to make another one. I thought the game was content complete. Apparently there was a mistranslation from the guy at the day, which fair enough, right? But yeah, so that surprised me too. I'm not as much of a Dragon Ball fan there, so I'm not really talking about it. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to speak about. Just look forward to the future, boys. It's going to be good. It's going to be exciting to see what happens. So yeah, I'll see you around soon. Expect the Grand Blue video at the end of the month.